The mere mention of the phrase artificial intelligence can elicit a wide variety of emotions, be they the joy of potential innovation, uncertainty about future impacts, and everything in between. Still, it is impossible to deny that AI is already embedding itself in our collective lives in ways both big and small, which is why the enterprise has set out to embrace its positives and keep up with the emerging technological advances. In this episode of the Thomas Jefferson University News Podcast, we take a deeper look at the variety of ways in which artificial intelligence is being incorporated into academic programs, the health system, and Jefferson Health Plans. It is truly a One Jefferson effort to harness the benefits of emerging technology to improve lives of students, patients, and beyond. In one sense, it can be seen in 4 new programs coming in the fall. However, the vision expands well beyond those to work toward creating a world where AI can help prepare students for the jobs of the future. To learn more about these forward-facing efforts, we spoke with the leader that has sparked wide interest in harnessing the power of these evolving advances.
I'm Susan Aldridge. I'm the president of Thomas Jefferson University.
What is your vision for AI within the universities and its offerings?
For the future, AI is going to impact our livelihoods and our lives in ways that we've not anticipated in the past. There are tremendous opportunities artificial intelligence gives us for learning, for teaching, for administrative processes, and most importantly for me, preparing our students for their jobs in the future. I have asked the faculty to look at every profession that our students are going into and back into how we incorporate artificial intelligence into the curriculum so that students have a clear understanding of how it's going to impact the jobs that they're going to be seeking in the future. We want them prepared when they graduate. We want them to have had the opportunity to explore not only how the technology is being utilized, but also the pitfalls of it as well, and to think innovatively and creatively about how it can be utilized in ways that maybe we haven't thought of in certain professions in the future. Our students are already using it in some ways, our researchers are using it, but we want to make sure that across the curriculum, our students and our faculty are prepared. So to start with, we really need to start a framework around artificial intelligence to really create a vision for what we want to accomplish in the end.
Later in this episode, we will delve into how that is manifesting itself across the enterprise. But it bears mention now that there are tangible impacts and offerings coming very soon.
We've done a tremendous job at Thomas Jefferson University of staying ahead of some of the innovations that transform our lives and how we deliver education, and particularly since 89% of the households in the United States have a computer in them, technology is really transforming everything that we do and the way that we teach. As we continue to work with this broad enterprise that contains the university, Jefferson Health, and Jefferson Health Plans, we have massive amounts of data, which means we have opportunities for researchers, opportunities for our students to learn about data analytics and learn how data is being utilized, and to look at large sets of data and look for patterns that will help us inform new patient care outcomes and inform new ways of serving populations here. So this fall, we're launching 4 different programs in data analytics. Each of them will have an AI component in them. These are all master's degree programs. There's a master's degree in business analytics that's for business managers on how to manage analytics programs. There's a master's degree in data analytics, which is a technical description of the various data sets and how the technology is being used to actually analyze the data. And then there is a computational medicine master's degree program. It's really for individuals that are going into research and for individuals that are looking at managing medical data sets. We have some extraordinary faculty in that area. And then the last one is a certificate that's in the College of Population Health. And this certificate is in AI and data. We're really looking at data analytics and how we're utilizing AI in order to project population data for the future. This is our toe into the analytics area.
There is more to the AI push than just those 4 new programs, of course.
Simultaneously, we're also infusing AI into our academic programs across the university. This fall, we're working on designing a short course. It would be a free course for our current students around artificial intelligence, where they'll get a certificate or a badge at the end. We also want to design one for faculty and staff. And so these would be a general introduction. We want to have something that kind of level sets for everybody, just the foundation of AI and what we're looking for the future. And then we're going to look to upgrade curriculum across the university to ensure that we have a component of AI in every college and in nearly every academic program that we're offering. We're utilizing experts in the field to help advise us about the curriculum and where there are possibilities. And I'm looking to generate some really innovative ideas on the part of faculty to bring in maybe some of the technologies into classrooms so that the students have an opportunity to utilize it and see what's occurring in their particular industry.
With this mission in mind, the enterprise set out to forge a path forward, thinking aspirationally while working to establish a mechanism through which to establish an inventory of sorts to help track potential overlap while uncovering spaces for further investigation. Enter the Transdisciplinary Steering Committee.
I am Luis Taveras, and I serve as the Chief Information Officer for Jefferson. When we came together in Lehigh Valley back in August of 2024, we had separate efforts, separate committees, separate views of what we were doing with AI. The first thing that we had to do was harmonize what we were doing. Number one was getting one single steering committee across the organization. We've accomplished that. We now have one steering committee that represents all parts of the organization. Very heavily represented on the university side and the care delivery side, but significant input from everybody. Number two was I really wanted to get an inventory of how many AI solutions do we have across the organization. The first number that I got, 92. And I said, that's a lot, but I'm not sure that's really accurate. So we put it out there and said to people, continue to add models to what we have. We're up to almost 120 different solutions across the organization today.
Taveras explains how the process evolved from there.
We need to look at that inventory and say, how do we rationalize what we have and how we harmonize the requests and needs that we have across the organization? So we're focusing on that and not focusing on it from the standpoint of saying, how did we get here in a negative way? We are where we are today. The focus is how do we provide a disciplined approach, a good governance model that helps us to evaluate any solutions anybody's looking at out there and putting that through the governance process so that we make the right investment in the right solution across the organization. That's what we're doing today, and it's working out very well.
Tell me about the monthly meetings you've been convening.
We need to keep that one Jefferson mentality when we look at AI. We're creating a communication vehicle so that people can know what we have, hear our solutions that we're considering. If they have questions about anything related to AI, they can ask questions. It's really just a monthly exchange of information. Anybody across Jefferson can join that and hear what we have going in AI. It's gone really well. The other thing that I'm trying to do with that is to make connections. This past month, we highlighted a couple of different solutions that we have in neuro restoration, and also something that we're doing for our foundation. And we have 5 or 6 people say, wow, I can't believe we're doing that. Can I talk to you guys some more about this? So making those 4 or 5 connections that we made this month is really critical for us.
How would you like to see Jefferson in the AI space in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years?
We are looking at solutions in every part of our organization. What I want to encourage people to do is continue to explore these ideas. But I want to make sure people clearly understand that ideas don't necessarily become projects. We have hundreds and hundreds of ideas that we get every day and every week. And maybe 2 or 3 of those become projects that we actually decide to invest in an organization.
There's an element out there that's fearful of AI and what it means for both personal and professional futures. What would you say to those? I don't want to call them critics, but just worried about the uncertainty of what's to come.
It really is focused on not replacing, but augmenting our staff. And we have to deal with a lot of labor shortages in different parts of the organization. And I think AI will help with those shortages. But I don't really see AI replacing our colleagues throughout this organization. The key message for listeners is, yes, of course, like every other organization, we are focused on AI solutions in any way that we can to make us a much more effective organization, to make it easier for our students, to make it easier for our patients, to make it easier for our members to interact with us, to make it easier for our staff to provide the services that we have to provide to all the different constituents that we serve. That's our overarching strategy. How do we make that happen without having caused any harm to any one of those constituents or create any biases in the way that we provide our services? That's absolutely critical because that is an issue that we continue to face. There's three of us that chair the steering committee. Intentionally, I co-chair with Matt Baker and Patricia Hernwood.
Let's now focus our attention on how Jefferson faculty is working to incorporate AI offerings into a variety of subject areas. This includes the Canbar College of Design, Engineering, and Commerce's award-winning and widely recognized fashion programs.
My name is Domenica Vinci. I'm the Associate Program Director for the Fashion Design Department, and my responsibilities are for the graduate program, which is the Masters of Fashion Design Technology. I'm an alumni of the university and worked for the industry in the corporate sector for over 25 years now. I love teaching, and this will be my third year.
Talk to me about the AI in fashion course that we'll be launching in the fall.
The need, as we're seeing everywhere else in every other industry, is ever so present in the fashion industry for multiple reasons. One, for sustainability purposes, it's really helpful because our industry is one of the largest contributors to waste, anywhere from production fabric all the way down to the retail end of it and overstock. So in that sense, how does it help? It helps where if we have an avatar or a 3D image of our clothing, let's say you have a red dress, long sleeve, turtleneck. In the past, we would send that out to get cut and sewn. You get it back and you try it on and you're like, oh, okay, I want to see it sleeveless. Fix the pattern by hand, send it back out, cut it again with another 3 yards of fabric, get it back. Oh, you know what? Maybe a 3/4 sleeve in black with a V-neck. Send it back out, get it back. What this has enabled is a cost, time, and fabrication solution. Designers are pretty visual people. So we're seeing it on an avatar. You're like, okay, I see what this sleeveless looks like. Yes, you could draw it out and you could sketch it to see it's sleeveless. What the avatar does, it's in movement. This allows us to be able to visually see how it walks. It has the ability to give the properties of the fabrics. You know what a silk looks like when it's walking as opposed to a corduroy, right? A little stiffer. That gives the designer, the company, the manufacturer, the ability to do that. Other areas we're seeing is our dress forms are pretty antiquated. They were made in the 40s and 50s. They are industry standards, so the universities and schools have been using them. But the population has changed, right? A size 12 of 1950 isn't a size 12 of today. There's a company that I'm going to be working with that is a very data-driven company, gathering information for sizing and putting them into these forms that are more digital, so you can manipulate there. An area that is still needed to be discovered is adaptive wear. People with disabilities, we don't have dress forms that really represent that population. Having a dress form that can facilitate that is also a plus. And of course, there's tons of AI with drawing materials. The real innovation is going to be with the data-driven information. The university also has the Google Apple Quest headset that we will also be using to export our design ideas in a 3D virtual in your own space as opposed to the 3D. You could really see the 3D without drawing it on paper, but you'll have it in your vision. You could export it onto this big screen in the library. Even though it sounds so siloed, it's really not. It's really encompassing. That is really exciting to me.
How will this benefit students, and how does this set Jefferson apart from other fashion schools?
There aren't any at the moment big programs dedicated just to that. We see that they offer some courses here and there, but not having the software. We have the equipment. We have a 3D body scanner. We have the large scan in the basement of the library. We call it the cave, and giving that opportunity to others. We have a 3D body scanner to give sizing, what is going on there with the retail side as far as when you go to try on clothes, again, saving time, you could get a 3D body scan of your size of your clothing. It can get uploaded into a program and then make it adaptive to yourself. Our industry is evolving. We're trying to find ways to be more efficient, not only so that we don't overproduce. We could produce according to what we need in real time without having to project, oh, do they want short sleeves? Do they want long sleeves? Oh, we'll just do both. And then we get things on the sale rack, where now we could have data-driven information to see what the purchaser wants, have it tailored to, instead of just an educated guess from last year. It's a tool that gives additional information to the producer and the seller.
What have you heard from students about interest in this?
Really excited because it's great to have the foundation of the traditional fashion design program, but this bridges what's coming next and how to integrate and open up job opportunities that perhaps weren't there 10 years ago, 5 years ago. A lot of companies we've always done it this way mentality, so why do we have to change? But if you talk about how it's going to be the bottom line, and listen, I'm going to take down your samples instead of 5 per season to 0 or 1, that's going to be a game changer for a lot of companies. They're willing to be able to. So we need people that know how to do that. Just the way when we had artisanal tailors that would have table patterns, we had to bring young students into the company to translate the patterns that were on hard paper into CAD, because now we could email patterns across the globe. This is just another transition that we're seeing, that we could just not only email, but now with the cloud base, they could go in and see exactly where the changes and communication is heightened, giving students a different view of fashion, that it could be broader than just, maybe you don't want to just be a seamstress and cut and sew design. You want to be more on the technical pack side, or you want to be able to be in innovation, creating apps, or gaming and the avatar, they call them skins, but at the end of the day, they're the garments. So that's opening up the student's mind to the possibilities of where fashion is. We need to continue to innovate purpose-driven clothing for different needs, whether it's activities, whether it's for disabilities, whether it's for children with autism, whether it's for skin sensitivities. All this is part of the AI that can give us information and data that we could then translate into beautiful garments that are done with thoughtfulness. We're going to have a biomaterials. We're going to have a fashion design in the metaverse. We're going to have AI in fashion. Plus, we'll have the textile processes. We have branding and social media courses in this. So it's really business, garments, textiles. We look at all 3 components of what makes the fashion industry and what it's going to look like tomorrow, whether it's the branding using fashion in social media and how that is also artificial intelligence, where you have an avatar now selling a model. All this is going to be in ethics as well. It's very important where ethics falls into this. Where's the line of your design, my design, or I'm using a runway model and then I'm using her likeness to sell my garments, and how that's changing that industry. Some models are even saying that they're selling or renting out their avatar, so they don't have to be in a runway show. They could be in multiple runway shows. They'll be in live in Milan and on TikTok and Instagram somewhere else. So again, a whole other business of modeling agencies is born. It's encompassing all aspects of the technology that we're going to be seeing, whether it's in smart textiles, whether it's in the retail with the 3D body scanners, what the stores look like, what online stores look like, because we're seeing that, and what the crossover is and what are the benefits. If you go to purchase eyewear, you could virtually try them on. Now we're going to be able to try your clothes on. You're going to be able to go to your favorite shop. People can't always get to New York and go to a designer store, and they're like, oh, I want to see what I look like with a Versace dress on. Click, and then you can get to see it. There's tons of possibilities for our students to step aside and see that will be able to open up more job opportunities for students and create a whole different thought process about what the fashion industry is heading towards. And now students come to school to be able to learn and be able to use those skills to get a job. You hear a lot of kids are like down. What am I going to do? Is AI going to take my job? No, not if you stay with it. I always give the example, the portraitures of yesteryears, then when the camera came out, what happened? To get a likeliness, you needed somebody to portrait and be realistic. And then the camera spawned a whole new art movement with abstract and with Picasso's. It pushed our creativity. So I think humanity is going to be okay as long as we push and we don't sit and be like, oh, I can't do portrait. But you can paint something else. Look for it elsewhere. So that's what I tell my students always. Yes, some things, the sand will fall through. There's a couple pieces that might fall through. But if you are inquisitive and have that creative mind, this is a great tool to do that.
This path toward AI is longer than many may realize, both internationally and here at Jefferson. Meet Les Sansdera, who has been working in the space for more than 3 decades.
I'm a professor of computer science and have been associated with Jefferson for 32 years. And all circles around and comes back to artificial intelligence. In my very first year, in 1993, I developed a sequence of courses. One of them was Introduction to Computer Science, and the other one was Introduction to Artificial Intelligence for undergrad students.
It must have come off kind of science fiction-y when you're throwing these ideas around.
To some extent it was, but it was more theoretical. AI has evolved so much, and it's been penetrating all aspects of our lives, including the colleges and the universities, many other institutions, the businesses, enterprises, and even the government. It has been quite a ride. It has evolved, and it has been very invasive at times recently.
What would you say if I asked you to deliver an elevator pitch for the benefits of AI?
I often quote from songs. So we utilize AI, or I utilize AI as a little help from your friend. We don't have to rely very heavily on it. We do not have to just delegate our responsibilities to it and our duties to it. We have to use it ethically and to our advantage, and we shouldn't be afraid of it.
What kind of work have you done in the AI space at Jefferson?
One of the very first undergrad courses were medical informatics and introduction to artificial neural networks. My very first National Science Foundation grant in 1995 put AI through undergrad education. The students were exposed to it. And since then, I evolved and utilized it in different aspects of biology and medicine. But it was the hardcore computer science aspects. Then slowly but surely moved into business aspects as the industry embraced the aspects of AI.
Can you talk to me a little bit more about that, how it is applying in business education at Jefferson?
We have courses called data analytics in the School of Business, but we also have data science courses and the whole programs in artificial intelligence in the College of Population Health and in the College of Life Sciences, where I teach AI classes, and at the grad level, machine learning and data analytics and pattern recognition. So it's all geared towards biology and medicine, but it's a different level. These are grad students, often postdocs, often post-MDs, post-PhDs who take those classes, as well as the PhD students. It's different from setting up the ground like we do at the undergrad level at East Force at Jefferson, where the students are required to take 4 data science courses, and mine is data mining and predictive analytics at the undergrad level, where we mine the data with a little help of your friend for the benefit of local communities. And it's often the students who bring the projects from, all alumni who bring the projects into the classroom from their communities. And it doesn't necessarily have to have the health or well-being impact. It's just the well-being of the social impact, well-being of the communities we live in.
Where do you see things going as it pertains specifically to Jefferson and then beyond with AI in education?
I think we are on the right track, and I'm very appreciative of the leadership of Dr. Susan Aldrich, who is an outstanding advocate for AI. With her help, we have actually 4 new graduate programs in AI starting this fall 25 semester. We have 2 on East Falls. It's business analytics and data analytics in the School of Business and the School of Design and Engineering. We have a completely new program, Master of Science, 12 courses in the College of Life Sciences, including selection of my courses there on machine learning and hardcore programming. It's funny how it went the whole circle. These are exactly the courses I taught back in at East Falls at the undergrad level. They are much more sophisticated right now. I think we are going in the right direction. We seize the time and AI is going to stay. We have to be very careful, and Dr. Aldrich stressed that in terms of ethical aspects. AI, it's basically a sword with both edges. Obviously, AI cannot overtake our responsibilities and teaching and research responsibilities, as well as the way we act in daily lives.
What would you say to people who fear AI?
I just published, it's being published right now in the Journal of Academic Perspectives, a 28-page paper on artificial intelligence as a gatekeeper to higher education. I scrutinized the admissions procedures and how colleges and universities use admissions procedures with a little help of AI. And again, you have to have a human touch there. It has to be a human empathy. So I would say embrace it, but with a bit of caution and proceed along that way, that it's not going to replace you. It's not going to replace the jobs. It's your creativity, your pursuit for knowledge that is going to drive the outcome eventually.
Is there anything I haven't asked that's important for listeners to know?
It's important to, as I said, proceed very ethically. AI might have a bias, and usually does, because it doesn't go into our social demographics and psychographics issues. Even with the admissions process, everybody is different. Even though AI over 5 years predicted 86% correctly into matriculation, but still there has been instances where there was a bias and where the candidate couldn't express their full potential because a human being cannot accept it, could have an empathy towards it, but not the AI. So the consciousness and the empathy, it's not there. We are on the right track. We have to take a very careful, there's a very thin line we cannot cross. Everybody is aware of it. And Thomas Jefferson University is proceeding along the right path in the right direction with the right leadership and guidance behind it. They are not going to invade our thoughts and then use it and abuse it, as I say.
Let's take a look at the role of AI within both the College of Architecture and the Built Environment, as well as the Institute for Smart and Healthy Cities, which brings experts from that college into a collaborative ideation space with peers from CANBAR and the College of Population Health.
My name is Edgar Stach. I'm a faculty member in the College of Architecture and the Built Environment. I'm also the director of the Institute for Smart and Healthy Cities and the UNESCO Chair for Smart, Healthy and Learning Cities.
Can you tell me a bit about how AI is being incorporated into both architecture education and your work with the Institute?
AI is a very fast emerging new technology, really enables architects to move from a creator to curator of technology and information. It's really a tool for strategic design decisions. And we're using this very broadly in our architectural education, whether it has to do with the design of buildings in urban settings or analyzing certain design decisions we make in the built environment. Also, we're looking into aspects like population health, environmental threats, climate change, and forward prediction of these aspects with AI.
How is the embrace of AI setting CABE apart from other architecture schools?
CABE has phenomenal faculty teaching cutting-edge tools, whether it has to do with the design or form making of buildings, the analytics in the urban domain, or in terms of optimizing transportation patterns within cities. AI allows us to very quickly transform existing situations and visualize these in terms of repurposing obsolete infrastructure within cities, such as parking lots or road infrastructure. AI allows us very quickly also to analyze the environmental impact these changes may have. And besides the fact that AI can also visualize quite striking how these changes will look. That's really important to communicate these changes or design proposals to the general public or decision makers.
What are the potential future benefits in both an educational and professional sense?
The fundamental changes in all design disciplines. We're moving from intuition to an intelligent, augmented design process. We really have now very powerful tools to help us quickly to make smart design decisions, visualize these and test them with analytical tools. We're taking really the intuition out of the equation and using intelligent assessment tools to back up the design proposals. In the past, we were reactive designers, and now we're becoming really proactive. When I say proactive, I mean that we quickly can analyze certain environmental or other aspects in the built environment or in cities or in nature. We understand quickly through design tools and analytical tools the implications certain designs have. Instead of reacting to, let's say, a heat wave, we can analyze and forward predict how these heat waves will play out in the future and how we as designers and urban planners have to react to mediate these environmental threats.
When did you first see it making its way into the architecture and design world?
Probably 3 years ago, maybe even longer. AI is an everyday tool now in every single architectural office. If you look at the cutting edge and leading the charge, they're using AI in every single aspect of their design approach, and also assessment and analytics. So it is already totally embedded into the profession.
What would you say to those who fear AI?
That's a good question. I think it's a continuous question really in all industries. I can see that AI threatens young professionals, in our case, young architects coming out of college and moving into the profession, because they are very often work in early design development and fundamental aspects within the architecture profession, and AI definitely can augment that skill set. On the other hand, I think AI will develop new jobs we even don't know yet. You have to embrace technology no matter what, whether it is a cell phone or a computer or EV cars. If we're embracing it in an intelligent and clever way, we will open up new venues for businesses and professions. There is a misperception talking about AI that it takes away the creativity of the individual or the profession. And I would say that's probably wrong, at least partially wrong. AI is moving us from a creator to curator. We have all of a sudden sort of a design buddy sitting next to us, which can help us to accelerate design decisions. Quite frankly, also can help us to make the design decisions better, because now our buddy also has the analytical tools to really put our design immediately on the test stand. Again, there's a threat that it takes away some of the creative nature of our profession. I would say it's augmenting our creative nature.
Within the College of Humanities and Sciences, leaders are getting ready to implement some new AI-related ideas into their curricula. Through a series of discussions, they have pinpointed a few areas to roll out new approaches to education, wielding the benefits of AI while being mindful of potential trouble spots.
Hello, my name's Tom Schrand. I'm the Associate Dean for General Education in the College of Humanities and Sciences. I'm also a professor of history, and I've been at Jefferson and its previous incarnations for 30 plus years now.
I'm Mariel Tulante, and I'm Associate Professor of Italian Studies in the College of Humanities and Sciences and the Program Director for the Hallmarks Core for General Education.
Could you tell me a bit about the Jefferson Educator grant that you've applied for next year to work on better understanding AI?
This is an internal grant to Jefferson, and it allows faculty to think about different pedagogical approaches to various projects they might have. We have realized that AI is an evolving field. It's something that we've noticed that our faculty want to talk about. And so we're applying for a grant so that we can run workshops and try to figure out what is the best way to incorporate AI into the delivery of the general education curriculum.
Our initial impulse is to start to think of this as using AI as a literacy that our students need to master in their general education. And it's a literacy also for the faculty. And it's probably one that many of us haven't fully mastered because it's outside of our field as people in the humanities, the social sciences. It's partly about orienting our faculty to what's possible and what is to be expected with the evolution of AI, which is happening extremely rapidly. And then also how should it be integrated or not integrated into our classroom practices.
What have the faculty discussions about AI entailed?
Over the past year, we've had a couple of faculty development workshops where we've essentially brought faculty together to talk about AI in their teaching and in their classrooms and thinking about how they create their courses. We found that it's an area of confusion often for faculty, and that there doesn't seem to be a very clear road ahead. You can either think about resisting AI and making sure that students don't use AI to write their papers or come up with discussion questions for class or to summarize their reading, or you could try to think of ways to incorporate that are meaningful and make sense in terms of the course. We've just been talking these ideas through with faculty so that we can know where everyone is in their thought process and collectively discuss the difficulties that people are facing.
Despite the uncertainty, are there potential ways to turn those drawbacks into benefits?
In our college specifically, what we're tasked with doing, which is teaching students how to critically read, to think critically, to shape their understanding of topics through expression like writing. It's changing what it means to be educated or what it means to be an educator. What's the purpose of education if all these skills can be done by machines and rather than us? One of the things people will say AI does is enhances human capabilities. It gives you superpowers or multiplies your productivity. One of the leaders in this field thinking about AI in higher education has said is, what can you add to the machine's output? What's the human value? What's the value that you bring as an educated person to that? I think that's the direction we're going to have to start thinking in, but that assumes that there's some underlying layer of education that allows you to bring value. And if you go through your entire educational career relying on these machines, then when do you develop those skills that you can critique the output of the machine intelligence and tweak it or add value or add it to your own skills? So that's a pretty deep rethinking of what we do in the classroom, what we do in a general education curriculum. It's a big undertaking to think all this through and also just create the conditions that's possible.
The problem is that if you haven't developed the critical thinking skills to assess the AI output, then you're at a disadvantage if you can't do that from the start. And so that's really the question that we're coming up against. How do we still instill the critical thinking and the ability to assess sources and to assess ethical questions about content in this new environment?
How do you think Jefferson can best harness these evolving technologies, both in your college and beyond?
Thinking about AI as a literacy tool is perhaps a very profitable direction to go in, because in that kind of framework, you can think about how you might understand your relationship to AI as an informed user of AI. And so AI becomes an assistant rather than a driver of thought.
The potential utility of this is pretty enormous and apparent. And this summer, I'm experimenting with a research project to see how AI can be a research assistant, cataloging my sources, having AI analyze the contents, helping me track down quotes or evidence to support arguments I want to make. And it does have some value in those tasks. And I think that value will probably increase in the future. But it's also, without my even prompting, it's drafting essays about the sources I'm feeding into it. It's already spit out like a, 10,000 word essay kind of summarizing or synthesizing the sources I put into it. It's been able to do concept maps and identify themes in 50, 60 sources I fed into it. You can click on the themes and find the articles that address them. All those things could be multipliers of my research work. And same is true for students. I was thinking, is there some way this semester or in the fall I can put all the readings for the semester into one of these notebook apps so that students could query it and answer their own questions about the topics they're covering. This just fundamentally reshapes the process of humanities education. It's throws everything up in the air, makes us question everything, and we're going to have to rebuild it. It's going to be a lot of debate and thinking and faculty work. It's probably hits us a little more than in the majors.
This train of thought carries over to the college's communications and writing offerings as well.
My name is Katie Gindelsparger. I am an associate professor of writing and rhetoric and the department chair of communications and writing. I run the Writing Across the Curriculum program.
How do you see AI impacting how education is delivered within your department and beyond?
There are positives and negatives to the use of AI in the classroom, but it's become so big that we're all going to be using it anyway. We can't avoid it. So how do we use AI in a positive way? The teaching of writing really revolves around teaching students how to write in contexts that are real and meaningful. We don't teach students how to write in fake contexts. So if AI is the real context of the day, if everyone is using it out in the real world, that's what we are teaching. We also have a responsibility as scholars and as teachers to push back against practices that may be harmful. We don't teach malevolent practices just because they happen in the world. So there's a bit of a tension there. And one way that we see AI positively impacting students in the classroom is most of them come in knowing somewhat how to use the very basic functions. They know how to go on Google Gemini and ask it to write something for them, or they know how to input a piece of their own writing and ask what should be done to my piece of writing to make it better. They don't always know how AI can supercharge their research. And so much of research is writing. Really what we're focusing on with our upcoming AI assignment and as we train teachers to deal with AI in the classroom is how can AI be used to write and facilitate research? Yeah, so we're really excited. All the writing faculty met this past spring and bounced around ideas about where would be the best place to locate an AI assignment. Both of the required writing courses that are a part of the Hallmark's General Education core focus on the process of writing. But the first one focuses on appropriate conventions for academic communication. And the second one focuses on research writing in the disciplines. We decided to put the assignment in Writing 201, the second year writing and research course. We're using an AI tool to have students identify a genre set. A genre is a type of writing that facilitates human behavior. So for example, a receipt from a store, from the grocery store, tells you what you bought, what time you bought it, who checked you out, what store you went to, how much you spent, what the tax was. And a receipt allows you to return something if you need to, and it allows you to prove that you bought it. Students use an AI tool to collect one data set of genres and then investigate what allows someone to intervene in that genre. I piloted it in my class this semester. Students collected examples of position statements in their field, and then they asked the generative AI tool questions about the genre conventions. Do all the position statements have titles? Do the position statements use research? What kind of research? Is the research cited? What is the basic rhetorical move of the position statements? All those components are what we think of as conventions that make a genre identifiable. So if a student wants to, or if someone wants to be an activist or make change in their field, they need to know what kind of change or intervention is allowed. A position statement is a great place to do such a thing, but you can't intervene without knowing what's appropriate. Using the generative AI as a tool to look at many position statements, more than you could do individually in the amount of time that you have in a semester, allows students to understand what is expected and what the limits of change are.
How do you best keep students from turning everything over to AI as opposed to using it as a supporting benefit?
Oh, yeah, that's a very common question. Everybody wants to know that. Good academic writing, no matter the discipline, is specific, it is accurate, it's evidenced, it's correct, it's nuanced, and it anticipates the needs of its audience. AI can't do any of those things. AI doesn't know the acute state of a reader's research. You can always tell when a student is using AI just to write their work for them because it's none of those things. And in a writing class, we're looking for nuanced, specific, accurate, anticipatory work. Writing is an opportunity to create relationships with other people. We repeat this all the time in the writing program. When you are trying to create a relationship with your readers, even in dry scientific work, you can't do that via AI because AI can't be human. If you're just looking for answers, AI can definitely do that. And we can leverage that skill to create more meaningful relationships, but the AI can't create the relationship for you. When you are on the job market or when you're trying to make an intervention or when you're trying to do something professionally, the biggest asset you have is your own, it sounds corny, but your own uniqueness. And AI hides that. It all has to do with what an audience expects. And you can tell AI what an audience will expect, but you can't tell it acutely about the rhetorical situation of the content. The rhetorical situation has to do with the author, the audience, the exigence, like what has prompted the communication, and the constraints, like what are the guardrails of any particular communications. You can't prepare AI for a really nuanced rhetorical situation because AI doesn't know what it feels like to be in someone's body. It doesn't know what it feels like to be disrespected or second guessed or to experience joy.
How do you hope the initial project plays out? And are there thoughts of building on it from here?
We definitely hope to expand. I anticipate in the professional and strategic writing program, anyone can take courses in, that we will offer a course in AI in spring 26 in AI writing. And anyone at the university could take that course. The assignment in Gen Ed, certainly I hope it teaches students about genre, that all types of writing have constraints and expectations. It forces them to collect a very specific, narrow kind of communication and understand how that particular piece of communication can be changed or not. I also hope that it gets students away from thinking that writing is about looking at small data sets or making small interventions. Often when we think about text-based work, we think about close reading as the operative mode of analysis, that you might have a poem or an instruction manual, whatever the text is, and you read it closely and you may compare it to one other thing, or you may use a particular kind of criticism to analyze that one small text, but you're typically looking at one text and then you're saying something about it. So the generative AI assignment allows students to look at many texts, more texts than they normally could. I hope in doing so, it will expand students' expectations of what language-based analysis can provide disciplines that are not writing. A lot of people think that in the writing program, we would be very anti-AI, but we don't teach people to write in fake contexts. If it's happening, we're looking at it, and it's the new dictionary.
These real-world implementations of AI in education carry over to the aforementioned programs launching this fall. At the heart of a pair of those data analytics-minded programs is the College of Population Health.
I'm Rick Hass. I'm the associate professor in the College of Population Health. I run our master's program in health data science, as well as our PhD program in population health science, and super excited to announce that we've launched a certificate in AI and analytics and healthcare leadership, which is built off of the coursework that we have in data science. And so it's super exciting for us to be able to launch in that space.
Working in that space with Hass is Juan Leon.
I direct online learning at the College of Population Health. I also work with a team of assistant provosts at the university level to help guide faculty development efforts. In both those capacities, I've been very much involved in looking at the questions, the promise, the risks of AI in the classroom, and we began that a couple of years ago.
What was the path toward the certificate program? And please describe what it is for our listeners, and also an elevator pitch for the benefits of it, both in population health and in a broader sense.
The path to the certificate program, and a lot of this comes from discussions with Juan as well, was just we're seeing so much more AI products in the healthcare analytics space. And so we want to be able to educate leaders who are in that space to manage that influx of products. Juan has done a really great job with that for our college, vetting things as they come in. Oh, in the education space, there's this new thing that figures out if it really is plagiarism or not, right? So there's all this stuff in the healthcare space promising to be able to read your charts and create plans for your patients, customize precision medicine. And there's stuff on the business intelligence side. The certificate is 3 courses that are currently in our master's program, one on health informatics and analytics, which just gives you the basic overview of how data are handled and stored in healthcare. Then a course where you get your hands dirty a little bit and actually learn the machine learning procedures that these AI models with the knowledge that they need. And then a third course on leadership in this space. And that's Jim Couch's course that he actually had been building in AI and knowledge of how to use it and how to choose amongst the various things in that course. These things are in the healthcare space now, in the C-suite and below, and you really need to know what you're dealing with to be able to make informed decisions about when and how to use them.
Leon references a running head start they had.
One to Rick, who's not only running the PhD program, but developing the health data science program and its faculty and the courses so that we were really in a very good position. We were ready we had the faculty and the courses in place that support the AI specific courses. So we're in a really good position. And the AI Center of Excellence, which was university wide, enterprise wide, was wonderful for driving vendors to come in and show things, raise very important questions early on. What happens with radiology, diagnosing images? What about patient notes? They're indirectly related to what we do in the College of Population Health, but the issues were directly related to anyone thinking through AI, its uses and risks. And because it's tied to some of these pressing high stakes medical patient care questions, it gets attention early on.
What sort of demand are you seeing for this certificate program?
It's already generating demand amongst those that are already working at Jefferson and Lehigh Valley. Some of our existing students are asking about it and saying, wow, this is really cool. And pointing out, like, you're getting this content already. It's been really great to have been able to have been launched at the same time as 3 other programs that are very data-driven, data-centric. Dr. Aldridge has been really behind it. The focus is really on data infrastructure, because one of the things that we try to get across in the program or to our students, or whenever I talk to anybody about AI is coming for your job, those sorts of things, that may be true. There are capabilities now that we didn't have 5 to 10 years ago. All of it is around computing speed and power, and all of it is dependent on data infrastructure. So if you don't have data organized, collected, or collated in a specific way, you're not going to be able to do anything. That's a big issue for healthcare systems, because the electronic health record is great, but it's very scattered and not everybody knows how to use it. And so that's what's been really cool about this group. Another kind of offshoot of it is, let's make sure that we're able to lead the charge as an educational institution and as a healthcare institution. And the way that we're going to do that is understand that data is our currency.
Leading into my next question is, what do you say to people who are fearful of AI?
There are things that the systems now are good at, and they're the same types of things, repetitive tasks. The generative AI is very impressive. The way that those systems are built, it's very difficult to guarantee that they will give you accurate information. It's not necessarily what they were built to do, but they can do some really cool things. I think it's going to speed certain jobs up. I don't see anything that will become obsolete in 5-10 years that people always say, because I think as they've been developed in the past, they're tools for humans to use. A good example would be the postal system has been using artificial intelligence for years. It reads the zip codes and the addresses. And when it can't make a decision for itself, for certainty, that this is this zip code or this letter needs to go here, it pops into a bin and goes over to a human who adjudicates the process. Those sorts of things are always going to be necessary. So yes, it is reduced in that sense, the number of people needed to sort the mail, but mail sorting is still a human-aided activity. So I tend to be that way because I'm a scientist, so I'm skeptical about hype claims. The things that they're doing right now are very impressive. Juan can probably speak a lot more about that.
What I've seen from a year of conducting what we called AI coffee hours with our faculty at our college and around the campus, and then at various international conferences, was this concern, obviously, along with things like, is the work I'm reviewing as an instructor authentically the students? But when it comes to the career development, I do think there's a lot of awareness and confidence. Two other things to preface. One, AI influences so many different aspects of work, life. That's one of the things that makes it so challenging, because it is influencing so many things at once. It's very complicated in that way. But when it comes back to workplace specifically, and in an academic environment, we often use AI as an expert assistant. We're comfortable with that. We've done it in a sense in the past. There have been expert assistants of the sort in prior years, but we are the expert, right? In other words, when you talk about the human in the loop, just as in the post office example, we are the expert in expert assistant, and will always need to be. And then the other aspect of it, I think a little more specifically, is validation. When I see, for example, at the AI Center of Excellence, and they're reviewing apps that help a radiologist identify issues on an image, it's the senior radiologist or a radiologist who, in the end, has to sign off on that. They're not just going through the motions or making people less fearful about losing their jobs. It's a very real very authentic need. And I think that will always be there. I think jobs will be inflected a bit, to speak very broadly, so that I, as an expert, may be called upon more often than in the past to validate. So I may need to know more about what the AI may or may not be doing behind the scenes, not super technically, but just broadly in order to validate. The last thing I'll say on the topic is I think humans, we're experts also, regardless of whether we're expert in a specific field or not, we're experts in what we like, what we want. And so up front, the requirements, what does this service or good need to do? And then the end, the evaluation, did it do it? I think we're going to remain particularly expert around that, whether in a very technical way or in a marketing way or in some way. Whereas the middle, the actual implementation, may be where AI is a little more safely and straightforwardly just doing it.
How is Jefferson uniquely equipped to be a leader in this space?
Population health more broadly has become more prominent in the last few years, and that relies on analytics and quick decisions based on data. And population health merges operations, safety, outcomes, and all kinds of stuff. I've been working with Dr. Flatto and her group in primary care, and she likes to talk about that being like a lab for implementing all the stuff that she does in primary care. And I think Jefferson is very much like that writ large. There's so many different places where these things can be tested out. And what's cool about the information exchange is that you have that active researcher, enterprise professional coming together, the researcher saying, we're looking at this, the enterprise professional saying, that's cool, but it doesn't do what we want. And that kind of back and forth is really positioning Jefferson to be really a leader in this space.
Going back to getting the most from AI, especially challenging, and part is how AI influences so many aspects of our work life and our day-to-day life. In a comprehensive university like ours, the insight comes from all kinds of different directions. All the different groups, stakeholders come at the issue with different needs and perspectives that can inform each other really powerfully, not just the happy philosophy, but like very literally. And then I will close with what Rick said about the data, having big data available, that's ours. Really the scope and variety of what goes on here is tremendously powerful and makes us much more unique an environment than many other places would be.
Jefferson's overall commitment to leveraging and learning about AI extends to all areas of our organization. As mentioned earlier, they are seeing tangible results in areas that AI has helped improve patient care.
I'm Dr. Adam Dicker. I'm a professor and chair of the Department of Radiation Oncology in the Sidney Kimmel Medical College and the Sidney Kimmel Comprehensive Cancer Center at Thomas Jefferson University. I also have the pleasure of leading a Center for Digital Health and AI.
My name is Dr. Jenna Vinogradsky. I'm a medical physicist by training, and I'm the director of the Medical Physics Division within the Department of Radiation Oncology. My path into AI has been a long one. Radiation oncology is intuitively and innately a technologically intensive field, and AI has crept into almost all facets of our job. It has crept into clinical care for patients. It's become a significant part of the research efforts that we do, and is even a significant aspect of our educational efforts for trainees.
My path was a little less direct. Over the past couple of decades at Jefferson, I was involved in drug development and what are called biomarkers, trying to understand either at the protein level or at the gene level or the RNA level, why some patients respond better or not to therapies. I got involved in work developing what are called genomic classifiers. I got FDA and CMS approval. About 12 years ago, I started a digital health program. I started clinical trials using wearables and other devices to try to see if we could get additional information from patients that would serve as early warning signs why they were experiencing toxicity, so one could theoretically intervene early. There were a number of other efforts that ended up being more and more kind of big data types of things through work with startups. And as Jenna mentioned, the work in the field of radiation oncology and oncology in general, I just started being one of the early adapters of this and recognized that we need to build a team here at Jefferson, and appointing Dr. Vinogradsky as the director of medical physics, professor of medical physics, was really the start to creating a computational physics group that really has been incredible in what they've developed over the past few years. years.
One example I can give where we think it's making a real impact for our patients. As Dr. Dicker said, when patients get treatment with radiation, sometimes what happens is there can be side effects from the radiation treatment. We're trying to use AI to predict which patients may be more at risk of having various side effects from radiation and how we can use the information available at our disposal at the time of patient treatment. So different types of imaging, different types of pre-existing conditions to identify patients that might be at higher risk for side effects and alter their treatment strategy accordingly.
How has this manifested itself on a day-to-day level?
The journey of a cancer patient starts with a diagnosis, meeting with subject matter experts, coming up with a treatment plan, receiving treatment, and then being followed. We've been interested in touching every aspect of that journey. We appreciate it through a lot of the work that Jenna has been doing, that lung cancer patients, even if they're successfully treated for their cancer, there can be untoward effects from radiation, chemotherapy, immunotherapy on the heart. And the question we asked was, can we pre-identify these patients who are not manifesting any cardiac problem, but they may be at higher risk? Jenny, you want to continue?
Certainly. So one of the exciting things about therapeutic radiation oncology is we use high energy radiation to treat patients. You have a close cousin of our professional field in diagnostic imaging. Diagnostic imaging is a different professional discipline where we use radiation to get images of patients. So they are related. And in radiation oncology, we are using diagnostic imaging to help us guide treatment, to enable us to point the radiation beam at the right location. We consider ourselves a sub-millimeter specialty, where we can aim at the disease with sub-millimeter specialty. So getting these diagnostic images is very critical. Our patients, as part of their radiation planning journey, get a lot of diagnostic images in order to plan their radiation treatment. So the work that Dr. Dicker is alluding to, we recognize that even though the primary purpose of obtaining these images is to guide radiation treatment, we can use AI to help repurpose these images to give us other clues about how the patient may respond. The advantage of this is we don't have to send the patients for an extra scan. We're using the scans that they already have, and with the help of AI, identifying hidden patterns in those images that can help us predict how the patient will do in terms of side effects, how the patient will do in terms of disease cure, and with the ultimate goal of personalizing and tailoring treatment to each individual patient and what their images tell us.
So what's the secret sauce in the AI? There's the image that the radiologist interprets, and then it turns out there are 10,000 other pieces of information for each image the radiology is looking at. And it's not appreciated by the human eye. There's no way that one can discern these patterns. And if you break down a particular image, in this case, it's from diagnostic imaging, but it could be from a microscope slide, and you analyze it many different ways mathematically, and this is all being automated now by computers, you can find things that just were unattainable 10 years ago. And because the computational power has become cheaper, because the software has become more and more powerful, you can find all these subtle things in repurposing standard of care medical imaging. And the work that we're doing applies to patients who are going to get treated with radiation. It applies to patients with cancer who aren't going to get treated with radiation, who may get treatment. There's other work by Dr. Vinogradsky's group trying to predict which patients who are going to get lung surgery. Can we develop more precise approaches to help the surgeon figure out how the patient after surgery is going to do in terms of the reserved lung volume that patient has? The ability to look at images in a new way, we're not really looking at them, we're putting them through these mathematical approaches, has really become instrumental. His group has submitted a number of patents in this space. We're looking to scale this work, to work with commercial partners so it benefits patients worldwide. There's another aspect to all of this work, and that is the educational front. We're fortunate that many of the medical physics that come for training at Jefferson have backgrounds in machine learning, quote, AI. Raj Vajapali in the Department of Pathology and I appreciated that medical students need exposure to this. We're creating different types of courses. Jen is leading an effort to create a course for members of the Cancer Center, even those without technical backgrounds, about what's possible. There's a whole field called low code, no code AI. This is accessible now to almost everyone. So we're quite excited about the research front that's touching patients. We're excited about the educational front.
Just to expand on the educational aspects, just like the general field of AI, the field of AI in medicine is moving very quickly. And what was not standard 2-3 years ago is now second nature to us. I'll give you an example. One of the things that we do that's jargon specific to radiation therapy, but I think it's a pertinent one, is on the images, we outline all the organs. So we can point the radiation in the right direction. We could tell the radiation what organs to avoid. As short as 2 years ago, that was done manually by residents, by physicians, by physicists. And it could take 2, 3, 4 hours per patient, depending on the complexity of the case. We've implemented a system where AI is now auto-contouring these cases, and what used to take 3, 4 hours is now taking us seconds, right? It comes with its own set of benefits. It comes with its own set of challenges, but our trainees that are going to be practicing next year and throughout need to be fluent in that technology. They need to understand it. They need to understand how it works. They need to understand its pitfalls. We see that as a critical part of their education. That type of stuff is not yet on their boards, but we think for future-proofing trainees, that is imperative.
Since it's evolving so quickly, how did you know to dive into this so heavily when you did?
About 5-8 years ago, when you look at the field of AI in general, there are other areas, financial tech, weather forecasting, autonomous transportation, which were much further ahead than medicine was. And we're not the only institution in the country that's focused on AI. And thank God we've had some critical hires and the team has multiplied and it's worked out.
For us, it was an organic transformation. First, it's helpful to our profession. Medical physics is a unique one. So we have a very unique background. I like to tell people we're one of the few specialties in medical disciplines where we write our own code, we write papers, we talk to patients, we run clinical trials. We have this very diverse set of skills and experiences that we're able to call upon. Many of us have very technical backgrounds. My background is a PhD in medical physics. Before that, I was a nuclear engineering major. I had always been interested in AI as I progressed through my career. For me, it hit a critical mass very organically. We work on these problems that are very complex, very complicated, and it used to be you would try to come up with a very mechanistic answer. Mechanistic meaning you wanted to be able to explain every step of the way and predict what was happening. But medicine is very complex and the world doesn't always work perfectly that way. And starting to integrate AI to help elucidate some of the patterns and solve some of our problems became very quickly very apparent that was the way to go. As Dr. Durker said, that's when we started building expertise, hiring the right people with that sort of experience of solving problems in that manner.
How do you envision things going from here, and what are your best case hopes for this space?
We're incredibly excited. From a human capital standpoint, we're attracting a different cadre of individuals who want to participate in this. At first, we had 1 or 2 projects. Now I think we have 12. One of the faculty members in Dr. Vinogradsky's group recently received a pilot award from the dean of the medical college, Dr. Saeed Ibrahim, which relates to AI work. There's metal artifacts, and she figured out how to reduce these medical artifacts with AI and there's a lot of potential to help patients with this effort. So we're incredibly excited. We think that it's only going to get better and better. We're looking at every single person, whether they're a trainee, staff member, faculty member, administrator, will be using these AI tools to improve the care of patients at Jefferson and to further research and help cancer patients worldwide.
I completely agree. I think there's not going to be less AI. There's certainly going to be more, and we're unapologetically leaning into it in our clinical care, in our research. We think it is already helping patients. It has great potential to help patients even further, and we're building a team, including trainees, to be able to take that to the next step.
What you've just heard about is obviously just a slice of the overarching AI-related efforts underway across the Jefferson enterprise. In closing, we asked Dr. Susan Aldridge how best to balance the benefits with ethical concerns and fears.
That's a terrific question and a really timely one. It's easy to get excited about the technological enhancements and all of the things that AI can contribute to our success as a university, but AI is only as good as the model and the data upon which it's built. If the algorithms are flawed, then the results are going to be flawed as well. This leads to flawed decision making. So there can never be data generated decision making without someone reviewing the results and bringing that human experience, the human intellect, to the decision-making process. If we're querying results around certain areas and the parameters are too narrow to give us the results, it's going to be complicated for us. We know in universities that AI has contributed to an increasing utilization of ChatGPT and others for students to cheat. What we'd rather do is teach them the appropriate utilization of AI and be very clear about holding them accountable. We want to be able to encourage the students to have a healthy skepticism about some things. If you receive a phone call or if you receive a video, how do we prepare students to know that even though it sounds like the person at the other end, even though it looks like the person at the other end, how do we know that they haven't just scraped our website and taken a visual image of us or scraped a podcast and taken our voice and repurposed it with some criminal intent? We really have got to talk about the opportunities, but some serious concerns that people have, and rightly so. My son works for Microsoft, so when I visited him, I said, I want to see what you're doing with artificial intelligence. I gave a description of a letter that I wanted to have crafted. Gosh, it was so beautifully written. I thought, this is as good as I would write, maybe even better. And then I tried another one and it was terrible. Maybe that was operator error on my part. Maybe I didn't provide the right parameters in order for it to craft a better written letter. It just goes to show you that depending upon the parameters that you put in, depending upon the model and the algorithms, there are all types of error potential here. So it really takes the human intellect and decision making to have a healthy suspicion about what could happen. And especially if we're making medical decisions, we're making critical management decisions for our future, preparing students for their jobs, that they understand they have to have a healthy skepticism as well.
In conclusion, how does AI relate to the future of work with an eye toward our unique positioning as an enterprise?
AI is going to permeate our lives and our jobs in the future. Just a few examples. We're utilizing AI to identify rare diseases. In the past, if a patient presented themselves with a rare disease, often the physicians and the researchers would have to contact people that they knew around the world that specialized in this area to just have some comparisons and dialogue. And now, as long as the data set is there, if the algorithms are built properly, you're able to quickly find out that there are 32 other people in various parts of the world that have this rare disease. And so jumpstarts the dialogue that leads to better discussions and decisions about patient care. The ability to just analyze massive volumes of data is of tremendous value for us when we can see patterns occurring. For us, it leapfrogs across many opportunities and a lot of time and years of work that it would take to get us to the point where we have sufficient information to make decisions. Facial recognition, we know how much that has created efficiencies in security screening. Medical students can practice surgical procedures before they even see real patients. We're able to write and edit content, letters, surveys, conduct research, crunch data. All of these allow us to be more efficient in our daily work. But again, we have to have a healthy suspicion about the work product that is developed here. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that those skill sets of critical thinking and independent decision making remain at the top of what we want our students to know and the individuals that are employed by us. Remember when computers came out and everybody said, oh gosh, people are going to forget how to write, they're going to forget forget how to calculate. Nobody's going to know how to tell time because they're digital clocks, and nobody's going to know how to count because they have calculators. We might have diminished our skill sets in some areas, but we far exceeded our abilities in other areas. It's the same with AI. We have to find a way to benefit from the tremendous efficiencies that it will bring to us, but have a healthy caution about the fact that the data that comes out is only as good as the data sets that were built into it and the algorithms that were built. At Thomas Jefferson University, we're going to take advantage of the tremendous opportunities that AI presents for our students, faculty, and staff. We're going to prepare students for how AI is going to be utilized in their professions in the future, but we're going to do it with a healthy eye toward balancing governance as it relates to the ethical issues while simultaneously making sure that we don't deter too much innovation. We want the creativity and the innovation associated with AI, but we want to at least have enough governance to ensure that all of the ethical issues that could potentially confront us are taken into consideration as well.
To learn more about this and other Jefferson stories, please visit jefferson.edu/news. Today's interviews were conducted by Brian Hickey with production support from Dan Bernstein. Thank you for listening.